Hey, so I just saw that Mark Zuckerberg put out a post about how AI is going to really understand us and personally advise us around everything that we care about. And I find that fascinating because for the last about 8 months, I've been using my own personal AI OS called Lifestacks. And I built this from the ground up using Cursor and a bunch of other stuff, and was able to basically create my own personal advisory with AI that is separate from Facebook, separate from Instagram, separate from Microsoft and Apple. And what I found was, as I created Lifestacks, it was really important for me to get away from all those larger, influential environments, get into my own island, my own space, determine what I really want in life. And then once I had those goals structured, build everything else around the goals of what I'm really trying to do. So Lifestacks, the engine behind Lifestacks advisory and contextually understanding me, is that I clarified my goals. I think that's one of the biggest risks right now with a larger company giving us that personal AI system, is that they actually influence us about what we care about. And we don't really know what we care about without them. So separating ourselves from those larger systems, we sort of need our own personal AI OS that doesn't have, doesn't come from the influential machines of those worlds. It's not giving us what we care about. We're determining it and then living that out. And I found a lot of growth, definitely have found a lot of growth by having my own personal AI advisory and integrating that into my life. It's been one of the best careers in terms of health and wellness, like a lot of growth physically at the gym, biometrically, and I'm tracking all that in Lifestacks. So I want to show you this because Mark Zuckerberg just called it out, but hey, this is something I've already been doing, and I'm kind of happy that it's starting to become a conversation. I don't think my system's going to take over the world, but it's been working so well for me that I just want to encourage anybody out there that does build and is kind of curious in the space of personal advisory and getting a more integrated life and feedback about your life, that you can either use Lifestacks potentially. It's not open to the public, but you can contact me and potentially use this, or you can kind of build your own system with Cursor. Took me a few months to really get it to a place where I could start using it, and I've definitely detailed my own system, but other people out there can also build their own system. So in terms of my personal AI OS, it's like I have a point system that gamifies the things that I do in my life. I sort of track the productivity in my life with radials because I do project management and tech and IT, and I have some entrepreneurial stuff that I do. So it's important for me to get a high level viewpoint over my own productivity. And then the dashboard really is this system of goals, projects, and tasks that I'm currently need to focus on each day. So I'm just going to cascade all these things up, you can see. So goals are like the driving force behind my Lifestack system. 3 to 5 goals. Projects end up being like 3 to 15 projects that are mini goals, and then tasks end up being like 5 to 25 things on my to-do list, right? When I complete my to-do list, they're all attached. Each one of my items are attached to a project, okay? So I always categorize that. And then each project is attached to a goal. So the idea is if I just complete my tasks, I end up completing my projects, and my projects end up completing my goals, and then I've achieved the things and done the things that I really want to do and set out to do. Right now, a lot of my goals are financial in terms of revenue streams, and there's a little bit of a peaceful vision as well of attracting more friends to jungle and beach tours with me when I go to travel out in Northern South America. I love bringing friends out there. So one of my big goals is just to have more friends come out to South America with me during the winter. But each day, basically, I can check into my Lifestack system and then ask AI to recommend what I should be doing for today. So I need to make progress on my business goals, or I need to rest and focus on my health. AI will actually generate like the top 4 to 5 things that I should be doing today. And again, within that recommendation, it's actually, I can tell AI how much time that I have to focus on its own recommendations. So if I have 3 to 6 hours available or something, I can type that in, and then AI will determine how much I can really get done in 3 to 6 hours, okay? So obviously more time on the weekends. Perhaps if I ask AI, it'll prioritize things a little differently. To reinforce my productivity and my daily tasks, I have habits. And I've selected these habits from a long list of ideas of habits. But over time, I've found that there's things that I should be doing every day if I'm gonna be in my top energy and my best productivity and my best health. So I've added those as habits. When I complete a habit, like I did my sit-ups today, and I did morning prayer. So when I complete those habits, they actually become points, and they're logged over here. And I can track how many points I've earned per day throughout the week. So I know that most people don't gamify their life with the point system, but I thought it was kind of fun. And also I can generate a weekly report that's in a PDF form about myself. So if I want to reflect on the week and think about what I accomplished over the last 14 days even, I can generate that report. It'll give a narrative to me about who I am and what I accomplished. And it'll be like a 12-page PDF report with a lot of like the SWOT analysis of what's going on in my life right now. So kind of fascinating if you think about it from an overall contextual understanding of me and the things I really want to do, and then the ability to generate these artifacts as I go. So the thing though about this whole system is that you can just talk to it. So like ChatGPT, you can talk to it right now. This, I can type into it, I can talk to it with my microphone, it'll talk back to me, and it'll give me an evidence-based understanding of why it responded the way that it did. Now, I think that's really valuable because 70% of people actually talk to ChatGPT about their life. So that's like 500 million people talking to ChatGPT about their life. But does ChatGPT have a contextual understanding of what those people's goals are? Like when you talk to ChatGPT, does it have a holistic understanding of you? So the general advice can be generally positive, right? And it always sounds good with ChatGPT. You won't even detect when it really has false positives. But I find that ChatGPT tends to collect the conversations that I've already had with it. So if I don't give it enough context about something going on and I ask it a question, it'll pull things that are accurate and it'll feel kind of like it's about me because it knows just enough about me to make it feel like it's about me. But it won't really have a holistic understanding of what I'm dealing with. So if you ask it for relationship advice, or if you're in some sort of a controversial situation, it might give you positive sounding feedback that actually completely misses the mark. And those false positives concern me when it comes to iatrogenic effects of like health diagnosis or encouraging someone to do something or not do something with their health, but also AI psychosis in general, like people going into this state of thinking that they figured something out, when in reality, AI is just convincing them that they figured something out. So with more context, with more information sources, when we have these inputs, we can actually have a legitimate advisor. I really believe that. And so what I did was not just create a dashboard, but I have 15 areas of my life within modules that I call life hacks. And they are drilled into information about me in different areas of my life that I find that I really do care about. Like Marcus Zuckberg said, like AI will know what you care about. So these are 15 areas of my life that I know that I really do care about, and I can always add more. But these different modules talk to each other. They're like the apps on your app phone or the apps on your iPhone, but like they talk to each other as AI is developing context in terms of its reasoning and retrieval and then response to your questions. So you can dive into these different like modules as exercises, and they each do different things within themselves, but once you've figured something out, they'll talk to each other and build more understanding of you as a person as you go. I find this to be very specialized at this point, right? Let me show you an example. Fitness tracker. I put in my fitness goals of muscle gain and body composition, for example. I like to look fit, I like to feel fit, I like to feel strong, right? So I'm going to the gym, I'm trying to accomplish those things. I can take my current stats from my Fitbit and put those biometrics into Google Health that pulls up on the screen and gives me a nice front-end user experience of like all the information about me, right? So it'll pull up all this information. It knows my current fitness stats that I've manually inputted, but each day it's tracking my sleep, my resting heart rate, my steps, and it's determining my stress levels from that. It's determining my self-energy and my contextual energy from my biometrics, but also from other modules that you just saw on that screen. There's an algorithm that's determining my stress levels, my self-energy, my contextual energy, based on different things that I'm accomplishing in my life, my points, how much I'm gaining in terms of productivity. And based on my energy it'll actually augment my gym routine. All right, so this is very important. So my base plan at the gym is established, but my adapted plan is based on my contextual energy. This is AI trying to help me not burn out, right? So it knows that I have these gym goals, but it's also saying you have these life goals that you're actually pursuing beyond the gym. So we're gonna tone down your gym routine if your contextual energy is a lot lower. We're not gonna burn you out at the gym. And I find that to be incredibly valuable when I follow it. It's still pursuing my goals, but it's contextually helping me to align my energy to things in fitness that I might push for. In terms of nutrition, I can track my diet. I can type in a zip code for where I live, and it'll actually determine the best store I can shop at based on the shopping list for my diet. It'll even give me a meal plan. So you can generate diets and meal plans and then generate the grocery list and actually determine the best grocery store to shop at to save money or to maximize the overall shopping list. So just another feature I added in, and I find it pretty valuable for fitness. Overall wellness is good here. When we get into more financial aspects of things, it's kind of fun as well. I'll take you through this pretty quickly, but this tool has been incredible growth for my life financially. The advisor collects the information around finance, but I end up connecting my bank accounts to the Budget Master through API connections with Plaid. When I say connect bank accounts, I mean read only. Like you can only read the transactions, you can't edit them, you can't spend money, nothing agentic like that. But similar to like my Fitbit, my bank accounts can now be read. So I've created a demo here. It has some of my bank information, some real transactions, stuff like that. So don't think you can hack me or whatever from showing you this, but it'll basically show net worth growth, just like any Rocket Money app would, but it'll allow me to have multiple bank accounts and multiple connections where I can see money and where that exists and all that stuff. And then it'll have quick advisory and stuff like that within this section, but the most valuable section I think is like the real budget mastery of this in terms of expected income and expected expenses. You can kind of use QuickBooks for this, but I'm gonna put down each area of my life that has like a revenue stream or a job or something like that. And I'm gonna put down the expenses related to that, and then I'm gonna see my net income. But I'm also gonna get advisory for suggestions on how to improve income. So income goals and then profit goals. This is, once I have that expected budget, I can actually look at my actual transactions and then see profitability of my actual transactions and then get accountability for how that matches up to my budget, right? So this is like having a financial advisory team around what you're doing in your life, but you can basically consolidate your transactions and say, am I buying and am I producing the amount of value that I predicted that I would produce? And you can run an analysis on this. You can do it for a period of time. You can say, for the last month, did I hit my budget or was I exceeding my budget? Am I growing? So if I pulled up a saved analysis, I'll probably have to run this analysis, but I'm going to use a bunch of AI tokens right now to run this analysis. Too long a time, 1 second. I made sure in my programming that the code would actually show you some of the querying and considerations of this. So the Budget Master is not just a financial analysis within QuickBooks. Again, remember how I told you about how the modules work together. So when this analysis comes out, the budget analysis will actually look across not only my finances, but my goals that I set on my dashboard. It'll look into other areas of my life in terms of productivity. It'll look at my spending habits that I set and my expected income that I set. And it'll look for patterns basically around what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong in terms of positioning myself to sort of achieve those financial goals. So I said a lot of words, but you'll see a lot more words in a second in terms of how it's orchestrating across multiple databases. There's a multi-pass retrieval augmented generation happening within this analysis tool. And there's also multiple data graphs that are being considered in this analysis. And I think it's, yep, here it is. So you can see the, I'm trying to explain all this to you right now. It's looking across transaction information, looking across its considerations around where it might not be matching up to my budget. If I said it also looks at emotional stuff. Like if I said I'm pursuing sobriety, but I'm spending a lot of money at bars, it'll have accountability questions around that and also around expected spending. So it's not just a CPA looking at my books. It's looking into all these different areas in terms of cash flows. It's looking at the goals that I said I was going to do as a person. And then it's using the bones of that financial history to basically say, you got some strengths and you got some areas of improvement. And here's some accountability questions for you. It does some side business analysis as well, where it looks at recommendations for improvements around financial spending or business growth. And it also has some goal alignment and coaching in terms of income goal coaching and budget reduction. This is still getting tweaked into place to be like a super solid advisor, but the overall format of this ends up being highly valuable in terms of reducing waste, tracking large movements of money, staying true to my recommended budget, actionable insights. And I just did a production update, so I haven't looked at the actuals of this, but it's been dialed in for a while. It works really wonderfully. And it becomes a pretty incredible advisor for growth. Now, after I generated that analysis, I can actually go back into my chat and talk to it directly around that financial analysis. Like I just performed a financial analysis and what are my top opportunities for growth right now. You know, I could have talked to it with my microphone, but because I'm doing this video, I thought, you know, I'll just show you on the advisor. It's going to get back to me with a response so long as in the production environment, my latest version of GP, it's still working. Got some high level. I wonder if it fell back to a model during my production, but I think it's fine. Let's just see how it goes. Usually it gives me a little bit more than this. Once it gets this response, I'll check the evidence to make sure that the GPT is still running. Yeah. So right now it's using GPT 5.5 mini. And I've had the chat response be very specific around responses, so I don't have to read through like a ton of information, but it basically gives me reports in the last 30 days around financial spending, revenue stuff, projects that I'm achieving, making progress on. As long as I update my dashboard, it's basically relevant to what's going on in my life right now. It's giving me ideas on how to look at high ROI projects that I have right now. And it knows specific information about me, right? So it's not ChatGPT saying you should go off and start a bunch of lemonade stands. Like it knows that I've got these specific things already in the hopper that I'm about to launch, and it's encouraging me forward for running 90-day sprints, like 90 days of iterative improvement towards those projects. It's also watching job payments and PayPal transfers and Airbnb spending and income, because it knows that I'm a proprietor, some different properties, and I run some stuff with real estate and things. So it's also talking about transfers in terms of watch out for these transfers, close in on these goals you had, convert traffic into revenue for these different projects you have, stuff like that. So it's getting deeper into, if I took like 30, 45 seconds to read through this and really just grab some insights from it, it's pretty valuable. Now, if I took 5 minutes to go into it, it can totally draft up that 90-day sprint for how to approach different areas of my life right now and go make progress on them. And if I check its evidences, I can see where it pulls from and the confidence levels that it's pulling from these things. So just from the budget master alone, after I did that analysis, it has more information, more context on me to retrieve that and then provide me a strong response. It's also considering, while it's giving me that reply, it's also considering where I'm at with my current biometrics and my health, just to see if it's gonna push me too hard as a person and be unrealistic about what I can accomplish. It's also giving me an understanding of my present state based on how I'm sleeping and the things I might be ruminating on. The things that are sort of blocking me, maybe emotionally, that I'm talking to it about. It's considering relationships and stuff that I've logged in there. So as long as I have all of my information inputted in here, it can be a pretty incredible advisor, because the more information I give it, the greater context it has and the greater retrieval. But you can track its own evidence behind this. You don't have to worry about false positives because you can see where this information is coming from. Now, just while sitting with you on 20 minutes, I've gone through different areas of my life rapidly. And I already feel like just these things that we're talking about right now might have taken 2 or 3 hours to get through if I was doing human to human with some sort of an advisor. Maybe it would take 2 to 3 weeks, right? There's a market advisor on here as well in terms of detecting trading patterns. It'll look at stock symbols and it'll actually give me recommendations for the things that I'm interested in that might be companies to look at. And I can do event monitoring within my pattern detection for the market as well. So I can track somebody's Twitter that I'm really into, Mark Cuban or something like that. I can look at his posts and stuff and say I'm really into this guy's advice on how the market's moving. So I'm gonna specifically include his Twitter as an information source. It does further event monitoring in terms of not only pattern detection, but it will generate a prediction and basically a summarization of what those patterns mean before you start to ask it around if I spend this much money on this stock, which direction and what time frame, what time window, if I'm trying to achieve this much profit. So it starts to give some predictive analysis. There's legal disclaimers and financial disclaimers all over this thing, but it's interesting. If you paper trade with this, you'll see basically those 60 to 90% confidence levels that it'll have with a retrieval context will also come out with a market advisory. So pretty fascinating as I've been using it. But be careful, because we don't want to be gambling in our lives on things we don't understand, right? So the rewards and self-care piece is really important for me too. I cash in my points for different ideas of things that I can be doing to relax and support my own health. This is basically like a Chase Bank rewards module built into this thing. And I found it very valuable for just keeping in mind. I can create my own custom reward, but it already comes with a bunch of ideas of things that I could be doing in my life to sort of just support my own wellness as I am being productive and achieving goals. There's so much here. I can also take a screenshot of the current apps that I'm using on my iPhone, put that photo in here and upload the screenshot. And basically it'll tell me what apps I'm using a lot of, and it'll ask me why I'm spending 2.5 hours a day on X, right, on Twitter. And I usually do that for market tracking and news and stuff like that, but 2.5 hours a day is crazy, right? This was 6 months ago. So when I realized I was spending 2.5 hours a day on Facebook, I'm like, wait a second, why am I not focusing on my own life, right? So this is where Lifestacks started really motivating me to be if I can sort of remove some of these things, it would give me therapeutic insights as well. So if I can start to get advice on why I'm using these apps so much and why I'm hooked on these apps and spending so much time on them, and start to understand and sort of deprogram myself from some of those environments and start spending my time in my own life, how much more energy and time am I going to have to focus on my real goals that have been clarified in this system? So every once in a while, doing a focus enhancer exercise is really healthy for me to see where I'm currently at with how much time I'm really spending on my phone and all these other disparate, distracting things, versus doing the things I really want to do in my life, which happen to exist on Lifestacks. So there's a lot here. If you create a Lifestacks, if you join me in this,
we'll walk through up to 20 adaptive questions to refresh.
You'll start with this
10 to 15 minutes
intake process, which is a dream catcher. You can talk back and forth with it. You'll fill out 20 questions. Basically, it'll help you to put your vision together, clarify your goals, and then what'll end up happening is when you get to your dashboard for the first time, the goals and the vision and the projects and the tasks will be filled out for you in a draft form. So you actually have a great starting place when you first log in. And that intake process, that Dreamcatcher, again, you really want to spend some good time with this. Like, if you're going to get into Lifestacks and really do this, you want to make sure that you're clarifying, you're taking the time to really clarify what you want to do next, right? Because the whole engine is going to be built around what you actually say that you want to do. And then it's going to help reinforce that over and over and over in multivariate ways, right? So my current AI usage is it's a lot, like $115 probably in the last maybe few weeks. So it's a kind of an expensive platform to run right now. I'm doing better with caching and using information I've already provided it, but those generative capabilities of generating reports and generating insights and stuff, even the chat, it's using up tokens, and it's using it up pretty fast, especially with the current models. So this isn't necessarily like a cheap thing, right? Like when you have a personal AI OS, I guess the one thing that the corporations could do is deliver it to the people for a lower price, because they can scale it across billions of people. But when you have this really custom system for you, I find that spending $100 a month on AI and an AI's advisory has doubled, if not tripled, my expected income this year. And it's also got me into a path for sobriety and for a lot better fitness in my life, overall health. And it's replaced a ton of apps that I used to spend monthly subscriptions on anyway. So I can only take on about 10 people right now. If you're interested in exploring Lifestacks, I got room for about 10 people. What I decided to do was to not do free trials anymore, and not even do standard access. So I've removed the ability to sign up for those. But if you contact me directly and you put your name and your email here and you send me a message about you and like what you're trying to do in your life, I'm going to be selecting 10 people to work with over the next few months. And it won't necessarily be $500 a month. It just depends on what you're really trying to do. I recently had a 9-day workshop with Lifestacks. It was like a couple of nurses, a doctor, and a psychologist were part of it as well. And they found it incredible for holistic consideration of the patients they work with, and also for applying their own life. Getting a holistic context before they start making diagnoses or start, coaching and supporting people towards their next steps. So if you're a coach or if you're a professional that's working with a lot of people, if you have multiple revenue streams and or if you got a lot of free time on your hands and you're trying to get your life back on the rails, Lifestacks can be incredibly powerful for you. I know it was for me. Again, I went from about $0 a month, just living in the jungle, not sure what I was going to do, to getting back to the United States and making 2 to 3 times my expected income, but also improving my own wellness, hitting my PR for the year in terms of the gym. And I credit a lot of that to definitely like the community support of friends and family, but also just direct advisory from Lifestacks around the goals that I was trying to do very specifically in my life and trying to accomplish. And the more times I logged into this thing, the more I saw my life grow. When I stopped logging into it, I found that oftentimes I lost my habits or something like that. I would go back into ruminations and start to focus on more toxic things and distract myself. But if I just daily log into Lifestacks, I found there was just a lot of benefit from it. So reach out to me if you're interested. I want to take a moment to share with friends what's going on with this. It's been an incredibly complex project. There's a ton going on in the world with AI. Don't necessarily just follow the large machine. You can create on your own, and there's a lot we can do with these tools that are available to us today. We're truly living in the Napster level of AI, where all this stuff is currently affordable to us. And I hope that we can take advantage of it while it's here and still accessible in the ways that it is right now. So reach out to me if you'd like to be a part of this. Again, we'll have weekly meetings for those who do want to join in. I've got room for about 10 people, and happy to hear more about your story and what you're trying to accomplish. Either way, thanks for checking out Lifestacks.